So last night I was walking through the streets here of Prague and talking to my friend about how I used to be so much more disciplined and comfortable with being uncomfortable. The example I used is back home in Vancouver, I would get up and it didn't matter if it was dark, rainy, cold outside, I would get up for a morning run and run, 5 kilometers in the rain. It didn't matter. And how I had much more of that kind of discipline to follow through on things. Now, on the flip side, I was a lot stupider in terms of how I spent that discipline and not being as strategic in that. But regardless, in this video, what I want to go through is some of the ways that you can build your discipline and how to basically be more disciplined. And these are things that I've done in the past and I'm starting to do again to rebuild that discipline that I used to have more of. Now, the first thing to understand is that discipline is a muscle. And so we have a limited amount of it. And there was a study done about, I don't know, some years ago. I don't remember. I'm not a details guy. You know that. There's a study done where they had people come in to solve an unsolvable math problem. So the whole point of the test was just to see how long people would try before they gave up, right? Basically testing their determination or discipline. And in the waiting room, you had two different setups. In one group, there was a table of radishes. And they were told, hey, don't eat those radishes while you're waiting. Not a very hard task, right? You don't use a lot of discipline to not eat radishes. Now in the other group, they had freshly baked cookies put out in front of them, with that cookie smell, and they were told, don't eat the cookies no matter what. So you have these people sitting in a waiting room for 20 minutes while there's these freshly baked cookies in front of them that they can't eat. Guess what this does? It uses discipline. Basically every second you're kind of telling yourself, don't eat that, don't eat that, don't eat that. And so when they took the test, the theory is that they would have less discipline. And this is what happened. So the people who were in the cookies waiting room actually spent about half the time, if I remember right, it was about 12 minutes they would spend on the problem, whereas the people who were in the radishes group spent 20 minutes on the problem. So that's a significant drop in discipline just based on resisting cookies. So what this study basically told us, and it's since been duplicated again, is that we have a limited amount of willpower or discipline. And so you want to keep this in mind always in terms of being strategic with it and how you use it. So this is my first tip around it, is to not have a lot of small decisions in your day. Don't wake up and have to think every day about what should I eat for breakfast. Don't have unhealthy breakfast in your house and healthy breakfast, right? Because then every day you have a decision to make of, do I eat the unhealthy food or the healthy food? Where if you only kept the healthy food, then you don't have to make that decision and you actually save that discipline. So the more you can remove little decisions from your day in terms of especially decisions around temptations, right? Eliminate the temptations from your life and you'll save that discipline. Now, the other thing to keep in mind is that you can build this. And basically, the more you are disciplined, right? Basically, and the way I define this is following through on what you say you will do, your word with yourself. So the more you trust yourself to follow through, I believe the easier it becomes to keep following through. So when you build up a strong word, your word is your bond, and you have this with yourself. So you say, tomorrow I'm going to wake up at 8 a.m. and I'm going to go for a run. And if you do that time and time again, that word strengthens and it means a lot for you. So building up your word to mean something for yourself can be a really positive way to build your discipline. Now, I suggest starting really small with this, right? Start with things you can do, little things. I should give you an example here, right? So you could do it where, and this would, it would drain your discipline, but it would be building that muscle, is you could get a candy or a treat or something that you really like and have it sitting on your kitchen table and just commit to not eating it. I will not eat this. And kind of practice actually doing what you will say, right? Building up that willpower. You could also do it in small things like committing to go for a walk for 15 minutes every day at a certain time or whatever that is. But something where it will be a little bit of a challenge, but you can follow through. And then you can gradually grow this and do more and more and more. And this is a really good way to build up basically your word and your follow through, which is building up your discipline. Now, there's another thing here that I've written on this paper. Extremes and musts, that's what it is. So what I have found personally is that having an extreme, clear, black and white rule is quite easy for me to follow, to be disciplined, if you will, right? Whereas if I give myself gray area, things get bad pretty quick, right? I've never, ever been able to follow sort of a count your calories, try to eat healthy, that sort of thing diet. But I've been able to just quit eating wheat entirely or take 1.5 years off drinking. But send me out on a Friday night and say, hey, just have 3 drinks. Good luck at stopping at 3, right? So luckily I'm in Prague. There's no need to drive here. Beer is cheap. But this is the thing. And I think a lot of people find this, where if you have a very clear goal, you don't have to use any discipline or willpower to deal with it, right? If you're going to the bar and you say, I do not drink, I'm out with my friends, but I do not drink, you're not really using any willpower. This was my experience, is that when I set this clear rule, I didn't have to think about it. I just didn't drink. And it made it really easy to keep that. Whereas if you're saying, I'm going to try to drink less, or something like that, I'm going to try to eat healthier, I'm going to try to wake up earlier, there's so much leeway there that not only are you unlikely to follow through, but you're going to burn all your willpower kind of fighting this urge to break the rule. Whereas if the rule is set, there's no breaking it, there's no changing it, then it's pretty easy to follow through, I would say, right? Because there isn't a debate. There is either, does my word mean something or does it not? And if you follow the advice of making your word count with yourself, only saying things you plan to do, and this is a process of building that up, but then your word will mean something and you can set a clear rule for yourself and then follow through. And I found that's kind of the best way to be disciplined and to follow through on things you want to do. So to recap and give you some steps to follow. First, eliminate day-to-day willpower draining decisions that are unnecessary. If you love chocolate, like I might, don't keep chocolate in your house that you don't want to eat. Or if you are going to keep it somewhere hidden so you're not staring at it every day trying to not eat it. Number 2, take small steps to build up your word to mean something, which is essentially building up your discipline. So find a way day to day to do little things, to say you'll do it, and then to do it. Along the same lines, I didn't mention this yet in the video actually, but stop saying you'll do things you know you won't do, because you just water down your word and make it meaningless, right? So if you know that you're not going to go to the gym, don't say I'm going to go to the gym, because it will water down your word. It will become meaningless, not only to you, but to the people in your life. So start saying things that you know you're going to do, and stop saying things that you know you're probably not going to do. And leave it open, right? If you want to go to the gym, but you're not sure if you will, don't say I'm going to the gym. Just kind of leave it there until you're ready to commit to actually going and saying, I am going to do this. I'm going to be on time. I'm going to eat healthy, whatever. Okay, so number 2 again, build your word to mean something by saying things you're going to do and stop saying things you aren't going to do. And the third thing is try using extremes. So doing bigger, clear, black and white rules for yourself. They don't always have to be extreme. The most important thing is that they're clear. Extremes for me work well because they're kind of motivating, it's a challenge, but you don't have to be extreme. It can just be a very clear rule. I don't do this, I do this. And don't give yourself any room, any margins to play with, any debate, because that drains your willpower and it makes it much less likely you're going to succeed. Cool? Ready to be more disciplined? Good. I suggest your first task right now is to use that discipline, subscribe to my channel, and hopefully I'll see you in some other videos. Thanks again for watching, and I hope this video has been helpful in figuring out some ways to become more disciplined and get more done.